If you think the Vivo V27 is already pretty, check out this one. This is the Vivo V27. This is the prettiest Vivo V series phone that I have ever seen. And look at this beautiful jade-like glass back here. It has this jade texture on the top, and when you flash a UV light on it, it becomes a really attractive dark green color. This is by far the best Vivo V series phone that I have ever come across, and here's what I have to say about it after using for 2 weeks. Now, if you take a closer look at these two phones, you will realize that they actually share the very same design language, except that the V27 is built a lot more premium because it uses a glass back instead of a plastic back, and you get a curved display on the front instead of a flat display on the V27e. Now, this is a really nice design, and Vivo says that the 3D curved glass is the slimmest in the industry and within the same class as well. And I really love the aesthetics of this phone. Despite having a really huge 4600 mAh battery inside and a really large screen, it still feels very, very lightweight. Now, on the top, you do realize this is a very familiar design language that Vivo has been using since the X60, and it is still now on the V27. This is still a really nice design that I really like on smartphones. And on the front here, you get a really pretty 6.78-inch AMOLED display that refreshes at 120 Hz, and it produces 1 billion colors, which is why it is so beautiful and it's really bright outdoors. Definitely one of the best displays that you can find on a smartphone display. So what's really unique about the Vivo V27 this time is that there are two firsts on this phone. Now, first of all, it is the first phone to utilize a Mediatek Dimensity 7200 chipset, which is a really powerful chipset for everyday usage as well as gaming. Look at these benchmark scores that we have done on 3D Mark, and as well as the stress test. It actually passed this test beautifully and with decent scores. And if you were to play games like Genshin Impact or Asphalt 9, this phone has no problems handling it at 60 frames per second. Now, this is actually a pretty rare occasion because it is the very first time that we are actually seeing a 2000 plus ringgit phone to have such kind of performance. And on top of that great processing speed, it has 12 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage. Now, despite this beautiful display, I am a little disappointed that the V27 still doesn't have stereo speakers on board, and the mono speaker on this phone doesn't sound the best as compared to other phones that I've tested. Like the V27e, the Vivo V27 runs on FunTouch OS 13 based on Android 13 right out of the box. And this is a really beautiful user interface, and it actually matches the icon colors with some themes as well, which is actually part of Android 13's unique software feature. And Vivo has incorporated all that features into its FunTouch OS UI. Now, this is a really nice and smooth UI. There's not a lot of bloat that's preloaded, and even if there's some pre-installed apps, you can just uninstall them if you want to. So fortunately, there's no apps that can't be uninstalled on the Vivo V27, and overall, I think this software experience is a very clean one. Now, let's talk about cameras, which is a really big thing on the Vivo V27, and it also has another first that I mentioned on a similar class phone, which is its main sensor. The main sensor of the Vivo V27 is a 50 megapixel Sony IMX766V sensor, and what makes it different from the regular Sony IMX766 is that it is a customized sensor by Vivo and Sony, which you already assume because there's a V at the back of the sensor name, because this sensor has higher light transmittance as well as it uses full pixel autofocus instead of the regular face detection autofocus. This camera is also assisted by an 8 megapixel ultra wide as well as a 2 megapixel macro sensor. As you may already be aware, the Sony IMX766 sensor is a very popular camera sensor that is present on flagship phones last year. And it is no surprise that Vivo has decided to use the same sensor and to customize it a little bit further with Sony and put it on the Vivo V27, because the V27 is all about low light photography. Now, take a look at these camera samples that's taken by the Vivo V27's main camera. As you can see, it has really low noise levels, and when it says that it uses full pixel autofocus, you can see that there's really no soft focusing issues on these cameras despite these dim lighting conditions, and I'm just so impressed at the details that it managed to capture despite in this dim lighting, which is not possible back on the V25 and other phones that I've tested before. When it comes to good lighting conditions, the Sony IMX766V performs even better with natural looking colors as well as good focusing performance as well. I am actually very impressed with the 8 megapixel ultra camera on this one, and as you can see in these camera samples, it doesn't have those weird soft focusing issues or even some weird warping issues that you might find in some other phones with a low-res ultra-wide camera. But when it comes to low light conditions, it's just not the best out there like other phones with an ultra-wide camera. And as for the macro lens, just simply treat it as a fun camera to take close-up objects because it isn't really good. Now, because of the Mediatek Dimensity 7200 chip, it enables the Vivo V27's main camera to be able to capture 4K 30 FPS videos, and that is actually a rare feature even though it's available back on the V25 already, but it is still a rare feature on mid-range phones these days. As for the front camera, it takes selfies at 50 megapixel, and as you would expect from a Vivo phone, it takes really sharp and good looking selfies with some natural beautified effects applied, and it is also one of the few front cameras that can take 4K 30 FPS videos. Now, Vivo also says that it has implemented some form of cooling on the front camera part so that the camera doesn't overheat when you are recording some long duration videos such as vlogs or doing a live stream via the front facing camera. This is an industry first and it has never been heard of. I personally tried to record a 4K video for 30 minutes straight outside the hot sun, and I have to say that the Vivo V27 actually survived without any issues. So there's another big selling point on the V27's camera, and that is its soft ring light known as the Aura Light, which is also available on the Vivo V27e Lite here, which actually works as a soft lighting for low light portraits. Personally, I've not been using this a lot because I already know how it performs back on the Vivo V27e. It basically just shines on your subject and makes your subject's face slightly brighter. But unfortunately, just like the Vivo V27e, the brightness of this soft light is not adjustable and it is too bright at times to brighten up your subject's face, and it can at times blind you if you actually put it too near to your subject. In terms of battery life, the Vivo V27 has no issue lasting 2 straight days with its 4600 mAh battery based on the 3 to 4 hour screen on time usage. And if you happen to run out of battery, that's 66 watts of flash charging to get you back up really fast. And I think for such a slim phone, yeah, it really is impressive for having such kind of battery life. So yeah, the Vivo V27 is about to launch in Malaysia soon. I have no idea what the price is going to be, but let's hope that it retains the same price tag as its predecessor at around 2,099 ringgit, because I think that is going to be a really sweet price point for this phone. It's pretty, it's slim, and it performs really fast, and I'm just so impressed of what the phone is able to deliver. So yeah, that's all for my thoughts on the Vivo V27. Let me know what are your thoughts in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos coming right up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.